You're listening to the Betoota Advocates Weekly News Wrap on Desert Rock FM 96.5.
Hello and welcome back to the weekly Betoota Bulletin. It is great to have your company, and it is great to be done with the federal election campaign. It was a frantic 6 weeks. Everyone was feeling quite fatigued. A lot of fatigue running through the newsroom, but we are at the end of it and we are out the other side, which is quite exciting. I'm Wendell Hussey and I've got Effie Bateman here in the studio with me today to wrap up what has been happening in the world of news. Effie, how are you?
Really good, Wendell, but fucking cold.
Yes, it is certainly quite crisp around here this time of year.
Crisp.
And it's going to stay crisp for the next few months. We are going into that winter season. Now, we'll start off with a story about the fallout from that election last weekend. We have a new government. That means the government's on the way out. No longer is Scott Morrison our Prime Minister. But it's not all bad news for Morrison. Scotty has revealed that he's found a silver lining in the fact that he never has to pretend to enjoy rugby league again.
Yeah, so it's about him trying to figure out whether he wants to bomb out of politics. I mean, he's tried enough, different careers, as we've seen, or stick around and lob peanuts from the backbench for the next few years. However, there is a silver lining for Scott Morrison after his government was obliterated last weekend, as he doesn't have to go to rugby league anymore.
Yes, that's right. The born and raised Eastern Suburbs product doesn't need to pretend to like rugby league or the Cronulla Sharks, given he's no longer the Prime Minister. He can go back to enjoying his beloved Waratahs with a nice glass of wine and hanging out for those mid-year and end-of-year Wallabies test matches. So lots of things he doesn't need to pretend to like anymore. So exciting times for Scott Morrison there. Now, some fallout from our home state in regards to the election. A Queenslander has looked down his nose at those rednecks in Victoria who only elected one Greens MP.
After being ridiculed by the filthy Southerners in 2019 for apparently not voting how they wanted us to vote, the script has flipped this year. And it looks like the Queensland Greens have definitely snagged 2 seats, and they could potentially bag a third as well, meaning that the party's headquarters are going to have to move to West End now, if fair is fair.
Yeah, well, that's right. There's only one other Greens MP in Parliament, and that is Adam Bant down in the seat of Melbourne. He's been in that seat for quite some time now. But if you look at it, we were going to have 3 Greens potentially in Queensland and 1 in Melbourne. I don't think you keep the Greens headquarters down there in Melbourne. You have to move them back up to Brisbane. And, it's got Queensland feeling itself. We copped a lot of flack after the last election. A lot of people down there in Sydney and Melbourne were saying we're dumb, redneck hicks because of the way we voted, voting against our own interests. They were, of course, better informed about our own interests than we were. But, yeah, it looks like we're not such dumb rednecks anymore.
There you go.
How many Greens did they elect down in New South Wales? Effie, do you know off the top of your head?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Zero MPs. Zero
Oh,
MPs.
look at that.
So they've got a couple in the Senate there, but they haven't elected a single MP. Yes, they've got some Teals, but haven't elected a single Greens MP. So as Bryce Taylor commented on that story, well, how the turntables. Perfectly summed up, Bryce. Now, in some more national news that isn't related to politics, Australia has enjoyed another peaceful day this week under our oppressive gun control regime.
Yep, it marks the 9,523rd day in a row that no one has died as a result of a mass shooting from an automatic or semi-automatic weapon on Australian soil. It might have something to do with the fact that we have extremely restrictive gun control legislation.
Yeah. It's an interesting one. It could have something to do with that fact that we do oppress our citizens and deprive them of their God-given right to bear arms. Christina Upton, who is a Betoota Heights cinema employee, she offered up the theory saying that, the fact that we prevent our citizens from having military-grade weapons readily available and can't go and pick them up from places like Kmart and Big W may have something to do with the fact that we don't have these shooting sprees that, seem to happen in other parts of the world. It's an interesting theory. It's one that we have to consider.
Yeah, that's an interesting one. What's up next?
Well, some maybe more lighthearted local news to finish up the weekly wrap, Effie. A couple in a long-term relationship have excitedly caught up with their single mate to hear her latest hoe story. Now, those are your words, not mine. Why don't you tell us a little bit about this story, Effie?
Yeah, well, I wrote this one after speaking to a Betoota Heights couple at the popular French Quarter Cafe this week. Their names were James and Harper, and if they weren't so goddamn lovely, you'd probably resent them a little bit.
Fair enough.
Very loved up. Anyway, they've enjoyed another weekend to catch up with their single mate to try and live through a life, enjoy all the enjoyable hotels that they get to hear.
Hotels, yeah, that's a good phrase.
Hotels.
What do you reckon it is that they love so much about these tales, Effie?
Well, I think it's, it's almost like this sick, morbid interest. They've been together for a long time, childhood sweethearts. And it's almost like watching a football game. You get to enjoy all the entertainment, but you don't have to worry about getting tackled or any of the shit stuff.
That's so true. Living vicariously through it, you know what I mean? I guess what's the most excitement that they have? Someone forgets to hang out the washing or forgets to put the dishwasher on at night, and then, you play
going to the Sunday markets.
Yeah,
that
well,
sort of
that's
thing.
it. Getting a new candle, that kind of thing. Yeah, I guess not a lot of excitement for them. So it's good for them to live through their single friends.
And it reminds them that, geez, you wouldn't want to be out there right now. You don't want to be out there.
It's tough. It's a tough graft out there, they say. That's what I've heard anyway. Now, that's all we got time for today. Hope you enjoyed your company. And we hope there's plenty more local stuff like our last story to come over the next few months, because it's time for a little bit of
time for a change,
politics. Anyway, that's all from me. I'm Wendell Hussey.
I'm Effie Bateman.
Have a great weekend.